Men have dominion, they have authority, and their positioning will be no matter what. It's just about how you align as a woman. And if that man is operating in his dominion outside of the will of God, it can turn into a dangerous dictatorship. More than likely, it will be a very dangerous dictatorship, especially for a woman. I'm going to tell y'all something. When I was like living my life by my flesh and by my own desires, I couldn't respect men to save my life. And honestly, like even in relationships, you was on the clock until I could determine a pattern recognition of my removal of support from you. I'm gonna just be real with you. And if I was friendly with you, like as a sister, as a homegirl, if you had a disrespectful dude, you gotta go. Because I understand their dominion. I understand the authority of a man. And when it's outside of the will of God, it will literally ruin your whole existence. It will rob you of your peace, your joy. It's almost like the devil in pure form. Seriously. And I'm going to tell you, 4 years ago with my rededication, a year and a half ago, I became an assigned minister, and my church is like 15 minutes away from Columbus, Ohio. Anything about Columbus, it's like a melting pot. It's very similar to New York City. It's people from all ethnicities, cultures, of course, both races. So that is what my church looks like. It's like a mega church, and that is what the congregation looks like. Many nations of many different tongues. And I've seen so much. As an assigned minister, it just basically means you're going through consecration to become fully ordained. So the places I've been assigned to is like rehab facilities, senior living facilities. I even been back to the prison I was released from. And I've even done like some background, like outreach ministry connections and like affiliations, like basically being the liaison for the men's ministry department. And I've had men seek me out in ministry for council meetings and things like that. And I'm going to tell you, like, it, I used to, I always was steadfast before my rededication to Christ, 4 years ago. I was always steadfast in my belief because I knew I did not hate men. I just knew something was off. And I knew that I was not supposed to be allowing these men to position in front of me. And I think that's something that women just don't take to heart seriously enough. If a man is not showing you proper leadership, like if he's not honorable, if he's not dignified, it's not for you to align with him and his wicked deeds. It's not for you to align with him and he's just all out of bounds, all out of order. You got to understand what that means for you. Genesis 2:18, you were created to be a helpmeet. And if we want to get more theologically in depth and sound, like in Hebrew, that's Ezer. Ezer means rescuer and helper. So you literally are organically positioned behind, spiritually and organically positioned behind him. So the way things can play out for you, if you allow a man that's operating outside of God's authority with his dominion and using it for no good, what do you think that's going to mean for you? Because just like he can turn his dominion and authority into a very dangerous dictatorship, you being the helper, the rescuer, the Ezer, the helpmeet, when you are out of order and out of alignment with God, you know what you look like? An enabler, an abuse apologist. You look like a male identified woman. That's what you look like. And this is not only happening outside of the church, it's in the church as well. Once I learned my position, I was able to actually give myself more grace because I feel the same sympathy for men that most women feel. I just don't feel a need to compromise to it. And I actually feel stifled beneath it When they ain't right, I feel almost like I'm struggling for air. I feel uncomfortable. I don't feel at peace. When they come around, I feel unrest. When I see that car pulling the driveway, it's like, ugh, here he come. Like, it's like you happy to see him, but there's a feeling and I can't quite explain it. I felt it the whole time I was moving in my own desires. I always was like, okay, here he come. When I say here he come, I'm talking about the men I dealt with prior. It was always like that. It was a happiness if I was fornicating. You get what I'm saying? Because then there is those lustful desires. But the feeling in my spirit just didn't feel peace. It didn't feel no rest. And that is because there is no rest for that. It's no rest for those type of situations that you placing yourself in. A man being in front of you, he got to be right. I don't care about what you got going on. He's in front of you. A man has the ability to guide you, direct you, and shift you in the right direction. If he has to do that by manipulating you, beating you, yelling at you, smacking you around, abusing you, if he got to do it like that, he's the tail and not the head. And a man is called to be the tail and to be the head and never the tail. So if he's showing up in your life and giving you his behind to kiss, you got to put him behind you. If he's a behind, put him behind you. If he is behind, put him behind you. Stop making excuses. The man you rally behind speaks so much to who you are as a woman. I will always be able to tell who you are for real. I don't care how much you pop it by the man next to you. If he ain't dignified, if he ain't respectful, if he ain't honorable, neither are you. Because he wouldn't be there. You would get rid of him. You would see that he's behind, so you would put him behind you. Because a wise woman knows. We know what he's supposed to be. I knew always what a man was supposed to be. I was never lost. So when I found myself going after my own desires, me knowing the Lord is the only reason why none of those men got to get a hold of me like that. I was able to break free. Because I don't think you understand that spiritual position is serious business. A man is supposed to be the spiritual head of the home. Why ain't your man praying over you? Why isn't your man grabbing your hands in prayer? Why are y'all not kneeling at the bed at night together, praying together before you get into bed? Why has he never had a conversation with God about you? Why has he never fasted over you and anything you may be going through? Because do you know that is a man's job? All of that is in his dominion. All of it. When God says the wife will be your reward for how you toil the earth, do you think God meant being out here producing bad soils to where no harvest comes? A man that does not bring out the best in people around him, he's not an effective leader. Men were called to be your leader. You got to understand that. And you got to look at them like that. And even when it comes, like I said, like to friendship, you can't have no friend with no wayward dude, because even his dominion will affect you. The men that you align with as a woman that are in your space in any capacity, you better be very careful who they are. And when you see they ain't right, if you ever see them yelling, right? Let me give you some simplicity. If you ever see them yelling, if you ever see them going off, disrespecting people, if they have literally disrespected everybody around them at one point or another, all due to being egotistical, prideful, and all of the things, you got to go. Their dominion will be no matter what. When it's outside of the will of God, it ain't nothing but the patriarch. That's it. Domineering, dictating, abusive, misogynistic, chauvinistic. I think that many people forget that marriage is a biblical institution. It belongs to God. So if that man don't know Jesus Christ of Nazareth, he doesn't know you. The wife is the reward. Remember that. This is what God says. This is not what I say. This is not what man say. And the wiser you get, you're going to learn to listen to God. I don't care how you feel about yourself. He created you. He created the position. And his will always be done. I don't care what they tell you out there. His will always be done. His word will never come back void. So it's best for you to start honoring what he says, even in your most lukewarm state. I don't care if you out there being a glorified 304. If that man in front of you is a dangerous dictatorship, you better get him from in front of you. Because when men aren't there as the covering, guess who is? Jesus. This is why he instructed men. Love your wife the way that I love the church. Jesus does much more for the church than just dying for it. He's still alive and well. His flesh is what walked this earth. Jesus is still alive and well and ascended into heaven. This is why he says, I'm coming back to collect my bride. You don't need a man. You need Jesus, though. You need Jesus, though. And can't nobody do it better than him. So you got to watch how you allow people to position in front of you. Because in this world, like, the enemy perverts everything that God creates. So the positioning is going to fall in line, but it's going to be for the demonic kingdom. Pay attention to how men use their dominion and authority. And if they use it to beat their chest and remind you they're a man and back it up, be very careful. I pray that this edifies. God bless you.